I was shaking, literally just feeling humiliated again.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the hardest moments. And I went to bed. But by the time I woke up that following day, I had had three people book at 2K
Yeah.
to work with me.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
before the end of that day, another three people booked to work with me.
Let's go.
Hey, Pam.
Hey, how you doing?
Really good. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, be really looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Crystal clear. So yeah, be smooth sailing.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, if you're watching in live at home, please say hello. Or if you're on the replay, hashtag replay, just so we know you got some value from this. So everyone
Yeah.
watching, Pamela Obasa is a storytelling superstar. So she uses storytelling to actually help sell high ticket items through and helping with, say, coaches and things like that. So then they can actually sell through webinars. So she boasts a massive 60% conversion on her own webinar, which is phenomenal. So congratulations.
Thank you.
uh, and no doubt a lot of work would have went into that. So yeah, Pam, thanks so much for coming on the show. Like, really looking forward to it. So I really just love to hear, how did you get into it? What were you doing prior to selling webinars? Have you always worked for yourself? Did you have a 9 to 5 beforehand? I'm so interested to hear.
That's so many questions in one.
No, yeah. We'll just get it all in.
Get it all in. No, actually, I didn't start off as an entrepreneur at all. I started off as an actress. I went to drama school, and all I wanted to do since I was very young was to act, and that was all I wanted to do. However,
Yeah.
a few years ago, I got married, I got pregnant, and I lost my daughter at birth, and that kind
I'm
of
so
just
sorry to hear.
changed. Oh, that's okay, thank you.
Yep.
That kind of just changed the trajectory of my life pretty much, and
Yep. Of course.
yeah, I then got into entrepreneurship because my mum owned a day nursery, and one of the ways that she helped me through the various horrible situations that I was in at that time when we lost our baby was to have me
Yeah.
help her out, pretty much,
Okay.
and that that rescued me, if you know what I mean, and
Yeah,
that was
I
my
imagine. Yeah.
yeah, that was the thing that got me onto the entrepreneurial journey, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, because it can be so hard because like my mom as well, she had a car accident prior to myself, and she lost the first child,
Oh,
and so here I am.
oh,
So it's just one of those things. But so sorry to hear, and it would have been so traumatic to go through. But
yeah.
you've done phenomenally, and you've used that to really leverage everything forward. So good for you to really move forward from that.
Thank
And
you.
yeah,
Totally
it's
unplanned, but it is what it is, isn't it? You move on with life, you move forward. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So when you started your entrepreneurial journey, so how did that then come about to where you are now?
Yeah, so I started to run a day nursery for my mom, and we started to have
Yeah,
huge problems because we found it really difficult to get clients. That's what it was. And I remember one night I was up really late, and I was scrolling through Facebook and the news feed, and this sponsored ad came up, and it was for a webinar, and I had never,
okay.
Ross, heard the word webinar or seen it anywhere before. And I just thought, this
Yeah,
is absolutely bizarre. It's 3 a.m. I've got some crazy things going in my mind. To take my mind off it, let me attend this webinar, this thing, and just to
sure.
check it out, see what it is. And I attended the webinar. It was Amy Porterfield, and I was just so fascinated by the concept of what was happening. And then I made a few connections with people, and I started to speak to a couple of people, and they offered me coaching, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is my big ticket. If all I could do was figure out how to get clients into the nursery, then I could teach people and create courses, and I could do all of that. And so I found my
Yeah,
first coach, and she said, yes, I'll teach you how to do that, but it's going to cost you 5K. And I thought,
okay.
oh my friggin' God,
Yeah,
like at that time we were in so much debt that even to ask for $500 was like an arm and a leg, let alone
yeah,
5,000. It was just crazy, but I had so much faith. I just had faith, and I went deeper into debt to pay for coaching and all of that. And it was amazing. And she was a phenomenal coach. But the problem was that what a lot of people don't teach is actually how to sell, you know.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I came away with funnels. I came away with upsells and downsells and bells and whistles and, all sorts of things going on and courses. I did create stuff. But then
Yeah.
I ran into problems because then I couldn't sell. I had my own Facebook group, but I found out I would hold webinars, Ross. I would hold webinars and
Yeah.
people would turn up and they would say, oh my goodness, Pam, I learned so much. We got so much from this. This was amazing. Thank you so much. And I'd look in my bank account and not one sale. Not one person
Yeah.
would buy.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
at that time, it was really difficult because I had already dug deep into where there wasn't any money to pay for coaching in the first place. And this was supposed to be the big ticket, kind of our way out of problems. I was newly married. We were, my husband wasn't working at the time. We were finding it really, really tough. I borrowed from my mum to pay for the coaching, and it was just, this is crazy. So I did have a course. I had all of these things going on, which most people do, but I couldn't sell. So I was buying more courses on webinars, more courses on selling, more courses on this. So one day, I remember reading one of my favorite books, Expert Secrets, and I thought, yes, the perfect webinar. I am going to do the perfect webinar. So I literally prepared all of my slides. I did everything, literally walking every single step. And I thought, this is it. This is it. After so many failed webinars, finally, I'm going to get to convert. So spend the whole day, the whole night, and weeks. You know how it is when you're planning a webinar, the launch, everything happening. So everything was happening, and it got to the day of the webinar, and I'm feeling nervous throughout the day, but I had my content ready, all of that. So it's about 7:30, all my audience are waiting, and I'm using Zoom for the webinar, and the audience are waiting there, and I think to myself, okay, let's go. This is going to be it. I'm going to do it today. This is going to be it. So I hit live on Zoom, and I'm big, and I'm going, and I'm just like, in my zone, because this is the perfect webinar, right? I am prepared for it. So I'm going for the webinar, and I'm doing all my content, and it's flowing. And about 20 minutes into the webinar, Ross, I think to myself, the orange light is flashing. People are chatting away. Let me see if they have any questions. So I open the chat, and I'm thinking they're going to have lots of questions. Let me start blasting through those questions, and all I can see were threads from, threads of comments saying, we can't see your slides. We can't see the slides. We can't see the slides.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was mortified.
Of course.
Absolutely mortified. And just at that point, I just felt like a failure all over again. I felt like, this big ticket thing, this one thing that I wanted to do really well, that I needed to do really well, if at least to recoup the money I've invested in coaching, to do something about our current situation, if at least I could have, at that point, I'm not techie at all. See how long it took me to get on. I'm on my phone, by the way. It took me forever to get here in the first place. So I'm literally sitting there. My husband is upstairs, and I grab my phone and I'm messaging him furiously, going, can you help me? I'm stuck on Zoom. And I'm trying to think, who can I call? Nobody's answering, and people are waiting. It's about 7 minutes, going to 10 minutes. And the hardest thing about doing a webinar is you can see the numbers, and you can see the numbers dropping. So they're dropping, and people are leaving, and goodness me, my confidence is just disappearing. So once I realized that there's no way I'm going to be able to rescue this situation, the slides aren't working, they can't see it, I didn't have anything printed, I had no content. I think to myself, you know what, there's about 10 people on the webinar at this time. I've wasted about 15 minutes faffing about. Let me give them something else. And I had nothing else. And literally, I just apologized, and I just said, you know what, guys, do you know what, I should still here. How was your day? Let me tell you about how my day was. And I told a story about my day. And then I told a few other stories. I told my backstory. What now is my backstory. Then I told another story, which became my epiphany story, my hook, and then parallel story. So these are things that I then developed afterwards. So essentially, I told a bunch of stories. And at the end of the webinar, at the end of the hour, which I had promised people, I then said, this is my pitch, this is my offer, and literally, no joke, I'd forgotten the name of my program. That's how nervous I was. I'd forgotten the name. I'd mixed up the name of the
Yeah.
program. I'd mixed up the offer.
Yeah.
The investment was supposed to be for $1,500, but I remember saying 1,997. And the moment it slipped out of my mouth, I just thought to myself, do you know what, Pam, it's done. Nobody has bought from you before. Nobody would ever buy from you
Yep.
again anyway. It's cool. They were never planning to buy. It's fine. And that night, Ross, I shut my laptop and I was shaking, literally just feeling humiliated again.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the hardest moments. And I went to bed. But by the time I woke up that following day, I had 3 people book at 2K to work with me.
Wow.
And before the end of that day, another 3 people booked to work with me. And that was my first 5-figure, experience. And I just remember just going to my husband like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And when you got your phone and it's flashing and you can just see the PayPal notifications and you're just like, this is ludicrous. This is absolutely ludicrous. What is it that I did? And, so after doing that, it was when I started to think back, okay, what is it that I did? Because storytelling isn't new to me. I'm an actress. I've done storytelling, but I've never used it in business and I had never used it in sales. So it was when I started to take a few steps back to think, so what was it? What was it that made the difference? I've run several webinars. That was when I was able to pinpoint and think, oh my goodness, it was storytelling. And that's when I decided, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to be teaching childcare providers. Maybe I'm supposed to be teaching people how to tell stories, how to tell stories to convert. And that's how I started to do what I do now.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And that in itself is an incredible story.
Thank you.
But congratulations. And to get those sales on that first day is just so phenomenal to then be able to then move forward and really just reverse engineer what you did to then turn that into a business in itself. So, you've done phenomenally.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, absolutely. So now you help more so like other coaches and clients is it to build their webinars or more just in regards to the actual how to run the webinar? Is that what do you more focus on just for everyone in at home?
It's actually a bit of both. It's actually, so some people come to me and some clients come and they already have a webinar, but it hasn't converted. And then, so what we are doing is we are, just redoing everything, looking at the stories and really focusing. It's strategic storytelling. That's what my webinars are all about. Very strategic storytelling. So it's about 90% stories. So even the teaching is through stories. And the reason I do that is because stories have impact. They have incredible impact. You know what, Ross? People will forget numbers. They will forget data. They will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that is
absolutely.
That's the power of storytelling. If we leave this this live stream or this podcast, I know it will become a podcast, there are many things that you will forget about a conversation, but you will never forget how you felt when I shared my story. You will never forget, the various aspects of my story. And that is the power of storytelling, is that when you are telling a story, the person who you are speaking to, they automatically switch off from their current state and they become a part of your story. So they start to picture themselves. They start to picture themselves as you, or picture themselves as the observer, or picture themselves as anything, but they've got to be a part of that story. And that is why it's so incredibly powerful, because one of my mantras is your money is in your story. People have to buy into you before they buy your product,
Yeah, great point. Yeah.
So that's why it's so powerful. That's why it's so powerful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, from that, like that's incredible. And just to be able to put that through, and the money is where the story is. I mean, it's great because, and the story has to be compelling because the amount of times I've watched webinars and it's the first 20 minutes and there's been no value dropped and they're still talking about not even themselves, but just about analogies and things like that. They're almost unrelatable. And it's just, this isn't helpful. I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
So to really make it a compelling story is really going to draw the audience in, and then they really want to just work with you, and that's really the key component there, to be able to want to work with you, and that's really where it ends up, where it should be at.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think that where a lot of people get it a little bit wrong when it comes to selecting stories is, you're absolutely right. They're choosing the wrong story. When it comes to when I work with my clients, I teach them that storytelling is 40% story, 60% telling. 40%
Yep.
story, 60% telling. So the telling, the way you tell the story, so you could choose any story. It could be the most amazing, it could be the story that really, really hits home, but if it's not told very well, it's just like Ross, you could walk into a party and you could be standing with a group of, there are three of you, and somebody walks in and they're just like, oh my goodness, Ross, do you remember what happened?
Yep.
I was out there and the car came and it did this and did that. And you're just like, oh, no, 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 no way, no way, no way. And
Yeah.
somebody else could come and say, I was out there and the car came and, the water splashed on my trousers and I was just so furious and this happened. And you're just like, oh, cool, cool, cool. Okay, would you like a drink?
Yeah.
No impact, no impact.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
the difference? So that's the telling
Absolutely.
part of it, right? But the story part of it, like you said, it's absolutely crucial to choose the right story that resonates with your ideal clients, especially when it comes to a webinar, because they're there for a purpose. And because they're there, they have a collective pain point. So you got to figure out what that pain point is and that's where parallel stories come in. Find the stories that match those pain points that would literally help to agitate those and support you in delivering the impacts that you ought to deliver.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, some great points there, and these are things that people can really use, and even just in the way you've expressed everything, it's been through a story, but you've offered some real value here. So I think everyone can really apply that to their own webinars. Now, a bit of off to the side there, I'm a little curious in regards to with Will Smith's new Instagram, how you got the shout out on there. How did that come about?
Oh yeah. So a few years ago, like I said, I started out in the acting industry, and I did a show. I played one of the leading ladies in a show which Will Smith. It was Will Smith, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Jada Pinkett Smith, who's Will Smith's wife. They produced the show, and so
Cool.
it had some amazing people on the show, and it went to Broadway. It did lots of things. It happened in London, then went to Broadway, and did lots of amazing things. So that's what the shout out was. So it was really nice to have a shout out. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I told my partner about that, and she's like, "Oh, on his new Instagram. Oh, that's so cool."
Yeah. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I didn't even know. I had a few people tag me, and I'm very new to Instagram, so it took me a little while to figure out what are you on about.
Yeah.
That was cool.
No, that's excellent. So, Pam, I guess from moving forward with what's next, with you're currently helping with coaches and things like that. So, how can you see that your business is progressing? Because obviously, you've been doing phenomenally so far. What do you really think's next on the cards?
Oh gosh, that's a brilliant question. I mean, this year for me, I'm doing lots of speaking, I have my own platform, so I have my own live stream show and podcast, the Jump Off Entrepreneur Show, where I have
Fantastic.
guests as well. Yeah, and so I'm also, as well as hosting other people, I'm also going into other people's platforms and doing lots of speaking. My main goal, literally, is to teach everybody the power of storytelling, really, because the stories that you share that have the most impact are actually true stories, and we all have amazing stories. You'd be so surprised at the stories that you have within you. A lot of people think I have nothing. There's nothing about me that's interesting. There's nothing about me that people want to know about. But that isn't the way to think about it. Everything about you is interesting, and I think what I love about what I do is once you start to learn storytelling, you start to look at the world differently. Everything is a story. You start to create a bank of stories.
Yeah.
It's just like when you go to a networking event, when somebody says, Ross, what do? You've got to break into your 20-second story. about what you
Yep.
do, as opposed to, oh, I'm just to this, I'm just to that. Oh, I just
Of
teach this.
course.
No, you want to be memorable wherever you are, And so one of my biggest passions is literally helping other people to be able to master how to tell stories well. And I do it through working with people one-to-one. I also do it through, I have my own group program as well. And so I do it through that.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'd love to know for everyone to be getting in touch with you, because with your next meeting, we'll cut this, wrap this up, just so that way we can move on
Yeah.
just for later on. So I'd love to know for everyone to be able to get in touch with you. What's the best way to do that? And obviously with all your podcast links and stuff as well, if you drop them as well, that'd be fantastic. But yeah,
Thank you.
Pam, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you so that you can help them with their businesses as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can go on my website. It's www.pamobasa.com. So that's
Yep.
pamobasa.com. I'm sure there'll be a link there. And
Yep.
also, I do have a Facebook group where I mentor, and work with lots of people there. And that's the Jump Off Entrepreneur Community. And I'll share a link as well. So, guys, if you'd
Great.
like to, come on over and join me in any of those spaces. You can always reach me, Facebook me, book face me, all of those things. You can find me in all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Pam, thank you so much for coming on. This has been an absolute great chat. A lot of value here today. Everyone at home, if you got value from that, we'd love to hear from you. #value. So Pam Obasa. So Pam, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
I'd love to, I'll jump in the group too. I'd love to hear how things are going.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Hey, Christy, thank you so much for joining, and everybody else who's joined. Thank you so much. And Ross, thank you so much for having me. You've been amazing. Really, really great.
It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Pam, we'll chat soon, and we'll keep in touch.
Okay, absolutely. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.